Happy Sunday. Welcome to Empathy Workouts. I'm Sid, aka Synead, and we are here. We are here to talk and discuss my new favorite person, Rebecca Ustrell. Where's Rebecca? I want to find Rebecca. You want to say hi, Rebecca? Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. Hi, Rebecca. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Your earrings are magical. So I want to give a shout out to your earrings. Where are they from?
Thank you. My friend Jacqueline made them. She hand crochets them.
Yes, Jackie. Hand crochet?
Yes, they're hand crocheted.
Wow.
You can get them in all kinds of designs. I chose the strawberry. Makes me feel like me. I put them on today.
Okay, come on, Synead. We love that. Well, we are here to talk about empathy, diversity, and where we can all find ourselves in the world, in different spaces. And your space is publishing.
Yes, that's correct.
Super exciting. That is amazing. You are the founder of Curious Publishing. We give everyone a little preview of who you were in IG. Now we're here in Zoom. So you are pretty much a voice of representation. This is who you are. This is your lane, your pocket. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how you got involved in publishing?
Yes, absolutely. So thanks everyone for being here. I'm really excited. I'm Rebecca. I am in Southern California in the Inland Empire. If you're not familiar with the area, it's like 30 something miles inland from LA. So here in Upland, I am an artist, and I also am a publisher for I founded Curious Publishing. So I'm the editor-in-chief. I run a quarterly magazine called Curious, which has rotating themes on. Lately, we've been focusing on social justice, but also we do independent art books for artists that have this collection of work that they want to bring to print format to be able to share with more people. So the whole idea behind Curious Publishing is to amplify voices in the Inland Empire. And I decided to make the focus on queer, BIPOC, and women. So that came naturally. I'm a Latina woman, I'm an artist, and I personally felt like there was this opportunity to amplify voices like myself, and been doing this for 3 years now, and so far the reach has been exponential, so it's been awesome. Yeah.
That's excellent. I love that, and I think we need more people fighting for spaces for us, for creating lanes in diverse sectors and other sectors, not just, I think in my lane is art, entertainment, and so whenever I'm in that lane, I do see a lot of people of color, but obviously it's kind of in very specific roles. And so I see a lot of people in that realm. So to see it in other pockets and something like publishing, so vital, so important to see what it looks like to be represented in this space. So I guess this leads me to my next question. In what ways do you believe art, mental health, and publishing intersect? And how are you creating, or not how are you creating this, but I guess how is this creating safety for the BIPOC community within publishing?
Sure. So I personally in my own art, I found that I lean on visual expression to attempt to visualize how I'm feeling. And I think that's just a natural human reaction to the art medium, whether it's film or poetry, painting. You're really putting your part of yourself into that creation. So I've always found art to be really therapeutic. In the past, I've worked with foster children and boys in residential treatment centers. So foster care, residential treatment for boys suffering with mental health issues. And that's kind of where I made the first connection, where I realized that bringing, you know, art supplies to them or prompts was a way for them to focus on, you know, something else aside from their trauma, or to confront it in a way that was a little less, I don't know, scary, especially when you're a child. So that's kind of my start in kind of linking the two things, art and mental health, together. So that's just kind of a little brief history of me. But I've noticed that whenever I have an artist that's working with me to publish, you know, a selection of their own work, that they're always putting a really big piece of themselves in that, whether it's that their art directly has something to do with their own health issues, whether it's mental or physical, whether it's they want to connect someone else and learn about other people's issues and talk to them about it. I just think that through Curious Magazine, these prompts kind of they just start a discussion. So I really see it as a safe place for people to discuss these issues with each other. And then the print format, I've always found it really just a different experience than digital when you have that piece of paper right in front of you. I really consider our books and magazines to be like a portable gallery, something that everyone has access to at a low cost or free if you ask for it, honestly. I've been known to give out books for free to anyone that asks, because I really want that accessibility to be there. So I think that answers the question. I can honestly go on forever about it.
Listen, we'd love to hear you go on about it. Okay, you know what? That's a good segue for my next question. You were just talking about how you noticed that even something as little as bringing art supplies to the boys created like it opened up a door for them to walk through. So I guess since you helped open up that door, what are your top 3 actions that you take or that you're taking to create more empathy? Because you're being very, very vulnerable in that moment with these boys, and they're being very vulnerable with you when they're kind of receiving what you're offering them, you know? So how are you creating more empathy and more empathetic moments like that within your community and, you know, within yourself? We'd love to hear about how you're doing that for yourself too.
Yeah. So believe it or not, I've never really been like a social butterfly. I've always been pretty guarded, especially in my youth. You know, I have mental health, you know, problems myself. I have bipolar. I really have always leaned on art to kind of like try and unlock maybe something that I don't really know what's going on in myself. So I'm just like, you know, what is this that I'm feeling? I'm feeling a block. So realizing that in myself, I was like, you know, if I'm feeling this way and I feel maybe a little trapped in my own head right now, and I really want to figure out a way to relate to other people and start this conversation, even though I'm shy or maybe I'm feeling antisocial at the moment, I really feel that other people might have wanted it too. So to kind of pull myself out of this feeling that, you know, putting a label on myself like, oh, I'm antisocial, I was just like, well, how about I just put myself out there, make myself vulnerable, and see what happens. And that's kind of how the first Curious magazine started. I'm just like, okay, well, do you guys also want to talk about this topic? Like, let's pick a topic, let's talk about it in an artistic way. And I'm a lover of books. I'm a lover of collecting art magazines. So that was just kind of a natural transition into pairing my personal interests and starting a discussion. So I really think that having these topics and a lot of people to discuss it as a group in our biome over here in the IE starts those conversations, which I think is the beginning to developing more empathy, getting to know people that you wouldn't have talked to before. It's really important. So I really think it's just the prompts to pull yourself out of your comfort zone, just even if it's slightly, to meet other people is the key to it.
Totally feel that. I also used to lug around books with me all day long, backpacks of books to the grocery store. My mom used to be so upset. What's something else I wanted to ask you? What do you think? What's your take on professional education and, you know, owning a business or, you know, having yeah, just being a business owner? What's your stance on that, really?
Sure. So I'm always tripped out that technically I am a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I mean I was just kind of brought up around the whole like, oh, you really need to get a college education and find a great company to work for. Like that is your key to success. What they were, I think, mentors and people around me were saying was like that was the key to financial stability, which to me is just not the same as success. I mean, people have different ways to measure their success. Obviously, I live in California. I live in the United States, so money comes into play.
Right.
Obvious. I'm not trying to be like a utopia person, but whenever I started to focus as art as a career, I just noticed that the things that I've always wanted, like community, being around more empathetic people, just came naturally. So I thought it was really important to also base my business as a nonprofit so that the ethos of the company was more community based and that money wasn't the bottom line.
Right.
I actually don't have a formal education in anything that I'm doing. I've taken some studio art classes. I haven't finished my degree yet.
Right.
I mean, honestly,
I'm with you on that, girl. School of Life. Right. Megan Lee Joy said it's School of Life.
I do envy the people that have been able to make these easier connections through networking
Mm-hmm.
their universities. I think that I'll always feel like there's maybe something a little lacking there, but I've heard from people that, you know, they would have thought that I was educated. So I just think that there's this weird like misconception about what an educated person comes off as. Like I believe that I'm educated in my own community, but not in a formal sense.
Right. Right. And I loved how I loved like your take as well on community and networking itself. You know, I think when you were talking to Megan Lee Joy, you had said you want to surround yourself with people you're proud to be around because networking sounds like a mixer. I was like, it's true. It does sound like that. I just want to be around people that make me happy, that make me feel proud to be around, that I want to say, hey, look at this person's work, or look at this individual, or let's just share in what you're building with this person, because now you two need to connect. And I love doing that within my own community. So I've really resonated with that. And so we have some questions. I wanted to throw a question at you from somebody else. What have you learned in 3 years and that you wished you would have knew at the onset?
Ooh, I wish that I would, let's see.
Thank you, Gloria, for the question.
There's a few things bouncing around my head. You know, I wish that I would have been a little more confident, and something that I didn't have at the beginning was the really flexible people skills. You know, like when you meet artists, you're gonna meet people of all. I mean, art is people, so you're gonna meet all different backgrounds and dispositions. And I think that I did maybe didn't come across as empathetic as I am now. I'm not saying that I was like harsh, but like I just didn't know how to approach certain artists, or I couldn't find that connection for them, or what the proper medium was for them, or how to properly represent them. So my bubble was pretty small. I was used to my own art and then my friends' art. So I wish that I would have, I guess, known how to approach stuff that I wasn't comfortable with, you know, art subjects I wasn't comfortable with, and that just came over time. I'm not sure if that exactly answers the question, but that's what came to mind.
Yeah, sounds like the answer to me. Like I said, learning to believe in ourselves. Right, learning to believe in yourself is so important, and you need to have positive reinforcement with that as well. You need to have people around you who are going to help amplify you, like you're amplifying the people around you. Yeah, we had another question. Let's see. Do we have another question? Donna, thank you, Donna DeCusi. I would love to hear Rebecca's thoughts about how art can connect us and transcend our differences, especially given all that we face and are facing politically and socially.
Okay. It's a very big question that I don't,
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like
You're gonna go at it all types of ways, you know?
well, I mean, kind of like I said before, it starts that discussion and it puts it in a medium that transcends words. I think that words stunt us a lot. They don't always, I mean, I'm a perfect example of it right now, fumbling over my words, not really knowing how
Yeah.
to get into thought, like how you're really feeling by these really dark times or these
Mhm.
really, things that, I mean, I've never every most people my age hasn't lived through this much stuff in such a short period of time. Well, they have. I
Right.
mean, so it gives you that prompt to kind of start to explore what it is you're really feeling, whether it's trauma,
Yeah.
things like
Get in touch with
that.
that
I thought
with that pure feeling.
Yeah.
I thought Rebecca, listening to your story when you were talking about your inspiration and your starting days actually of creating Curious Publishing, I felt a lot of like connection to you when you said that you wanted to express these ideas, express these like teach, but also make it pretty and make it cool and aesthetically pleasing. And I just wanted to point that out because I feel like you really nailed it in terms of making storytelling that teaches but also grabs you and creates an emotional connection as well. And you've really done an amazing job curating that type of work.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely inspired by things like the Moth Radio Hour, where people can take this small
I
pinpoint
love that.
of a feeling or something that you can't literally explain into words, and just uh, it just expands from this point and then becomes this web of emotions or images and thoughts. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to capture that. And I feel like I'm just one little link to this empathy like cloud. Like someone else
Absolutely.
at one point. And I think that
Right.
that's just,
We're a nice little web.
yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Agree. I think you are, it's as small and as big as we want to make it, but you seem like a really big part in how we're all being able to see each other. That support system. Yeah, Michael, it's a support system is so important. You see the voices that need to be uplifted, but also seeing how, I think this is what Donna was trying to get to, how art is permeating that space for all of us as well, and creating that vehicle for us to really get in touch with our emotions and the purity of that. Sorry, the birds are really squawking over here. Um, Michael said a big part of healing in his home is catching negative narratives. Absolutely. People are creating negative narratives around you consistently, especially if they're not content or solidified with who they are. That self-awareness journey really plays a big part of it. But again, with regards to you and publishing, I think that's you're turning the car on and pushing the vehicle forward, driving the vehicle forward for conversations that need to be started. And we get to see it. Those eyes, you see things. That's the most I can't think of the phrase I'm looking for right now. But we're always visually stimulated by so many things. I can see how that is important for us to just be able to acknowledge the visual impact of representation. We need that. We see how vital it is. And super appreciative of you and your part in this.
Yeah, I think that you
Fight for diversity. Thank you. I'm trying to think of all the things. I'm like, what's Donna saying? What are you saying? What's Michael saying? Put it all cohesively.
Yes.
Let's see. One thing that I'd like to ask you, one last thing before we go into our grounding, I believe. If you had one verb to get people activated, what's the verb you would you suggest that we all partake in? I guess that's what I'm trying to look for. A verb, an action. Something we can do.
Create.
Yes. That is it. Creating in all forms. Create in the bonds that you have. Create, write, create from your thoughts. What do you think?
Yes, we want to see, just visualize whatever it is you're feeling. Put it on paper, sculpt it, say it, record it, express it. Beautiful.
Yes.
Healing.
Rebecca, you have been so beautiful with your strawberry earrings.
Thank you.
I am super in love with you already. Thank you so much for giving us your time today and for creating space for writers and creatives, literally of all kinds. Create your magic, Michael says, create your magic.
Yes. And I do want to say that we are based in SoCal, but we want to publish anyone that's interested. So,
okay, girl, we got some takers, all right?
Yes, hit me up.
Yeah, it's hitting you up. I got a book of poetry I got to put out here.
Get it.
Yes, okay. I'm going to pass it along to Michael before we move on to the grounding, but thank you so much, Rebecca. Michael, what's up?
Oh, a little throw me on the spot. I like that. So why am I on the spot? It is to make an announcement.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Is there a visual for me too? Like throw Megan Lee Joy on the spot. I think, Rebecca, I remember you speaking about confronting these challenges over and over. I guess in a way that's what this game very much is about, is strengthening your empathy muscles through confronting and having stronger awareness about yourself and the world around you. How's that for ad-libbing a segue?
We love that.
So with that, I would love to introduce you all to a way that you can contribute to this empathy movement. Our next major milestone is the release of the Actually Curious Human Rights Edition. The inspiration to do this came through you all, through community members who are working in education, working in mental health, working in various forms of human rights, who more or less pointed us to the direction we needed to head into for the next edition. So the next edition will be released in the weeks leading up to Memorial Day, which we're calling the ceremonial anniversary of the death of George Floyd, which in many ways sparked or reignited, put the gas on the flames of this movement, and frankly brought a lot of attention to Actually Curious as well. We did not have the momentum that we had until that man lost his life, and so we want to commemorate it this year with the release of the Human Rights Edition, and we're asking for support from the community. If you know of anyone personally, or if you just want to make suggestions of contributors, we are curating 50 or more contributors across LGBT rights, racial justice, disability, ageism. We're really looking for as much inspiration as we can to create a deck that really allows us all to push the limits of how we all can be advocates for human rights, and how we can check our biases where we didn't know we had them. So thank you for the space, for the announcement. The link will be shared in the bio, in the bio. There is a link in the bio, actually, in Instagram. That is true. Sometimes copy points get stuck in your head and they come out at the wrong time. But it's also in the chat and will be at the end. So with that, let's go into the grounding.
All right, beautiful humans. let's close our eyes to begin. We're in a safe space with friends, with community. And put your left hand over your heart and your right hand over that. And take a deep breath in through your nose, filling up your entire body. Holding it at the top. And releasing with a sigh, maybe a wiggle. And continue taking a deep breath in. And when you breathe in, I want you to feel into your creativity. What does it feel like? And when you exhale, I want you to exhale that gift out into the room around you. Again, breathing in deeply, that sense of creativity. Does it have a color? What does it look like swirling around inside of you? And feeling the joy as you release that back into the room, into the world around you. One final time, deep breath in. All of that possibility, feeling it, holding it at the top, letting it resonate through your body, through your chest, through your arms, down your torso. And exhaling, releasing all the stress, returning back to a normal breath. Reveling in this moment of being. You do not have to achieve or portray. You just get to be alive in this moment, just like your computer in front of you, just like the plant in your space, the bugs outside. You're just all hanging out, just feeling that vibration. Beautiful. And so when you're ready, I invite you to put a smile on your face and open your eyes, coming back into this moment, back into this space, into your beautiful bodies, full of juicy creative goodness and endless possibility that we get to vulnerably feel into and share throughout our gameplay that I'm so excited for us to jump into. I'm going to throw up another slide for us. Whoop. We're going to go to the OG gameplay today. And this is how it works. We will be playing Actually Curious from the Curiosity Edition right here in my little square. And we will need 3 volunteers to start. So you can use the hand raise tool right now, this very moment, to jump on stage, and we'll call on you. And then we'll discuss each question for a few minutes, and we'll decide as a collective, as a community, as a group, if we want to go up a level or stay where we are using the poll. So the poll will jump up in front of you on your computer, and you get to vote and see how deep we get to go today. All right, let's jump up. Raise your hand. Let me put this on gallery view so I can see you all. You can also just literally raise your hand. Everyone's gonna get a chance to participate today. Lucky you guys. All right, who wants it? The question comes after you raise your hand, so we make it really intense. All right, Lori, awesome. Who else? Two more. Dos más. All right, Beth, beautiful. Lori, Beth, one more. Last but not least, we're not afraid of the silence, you guys. Lori, Beth, who's next? Michael, all right. Okay, I'm gonna spotlight everyone. All right. So the first question is yellow the first level, Michael?
It's blue, then green,
There
then
you go.
yellow, then pink.
I was like, yellow seems like it's a juicy one. Ooh, I like this one. Okay, we are going to do, what do you think you could become famous for? So give yourself a moment to think about it. Maybe it's the first thing that bubbles up. Maybe it's the fourth. And then when you're ready, you can unmute and share. I'm trying to think of like a really quippy one that I can think of.
This
That's
actually
like,
made me pretty nervous
yeah.
to think about what I would share with the community when put on the spot. Because there's been a lot of really great blessings also already. But I wouldn't say I'm definitely not famous. But I think maybe for writing a book or writing books. I heard I read in a book once actually that a really great way to add to your credibility of the work that you're doing and put a really great foundation under your work is to expound on it in a book.
Mm. I love that. That's amazing. And I love that a book is what inspired you to that as well.
I can go next.
Yeah, get it, Lori.
Probably for being super blunt on like a podcast or just being a public speaker. I don't know if that's like a predictable answer, but I just think like I clearly like I volunteer, like I don't really have, I'm not shy. So I can like speak in front of people, but I feel like I'll get famous because I'll just like talk my SHIT. Sorry, I don't know if I could curse here. You know, like just for being like unapologetic and blunt, I think.
Honestly, Lori, I think that's so amazing and so needed to not only speak without the bullshit and speak into your truth, but to be sharing that truth loudly, regardless of its effect.
Yeah.
You know, the impact that needs to be said.
Yeah, I feel like we all, you know, even like what we were talking about before, like people are constantly like questioning themselves and thinking if they're good enough or should they do this or like, and it's just like own who you are, just do it and just like go into it blindly and let it be and just really get out of your head and like be in the world. I know that's like a very easy thing to say, but like that's ultimately, I think, just true happiness and like just allowing yourself to live like your most fulfilled life.
I agree. I've been noticing that all of life's truths are very simple, and yet enacting them in society is very difficult. Yeah, totally. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
All right, Beth.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm trying to get back to that place of simplicity and gratitude where it used to be, and then I got all jumbled up in my head for a long time. But I think my fame would come from always asking big questions and eventually asking a big question that might lead to an amazing discovery of some type. So I've been a food writer for a long time, but I'm interested in so many other things like science and brain health and tons of other artistic endeavors as well. So I feel like I'm always asking questions about like systems and how they work and how they can be better. And while I don't necessarily have detailed answers or solutions to all these things, I think that there could come a point where I ask a question that just people were so wrapped up in what they were doing they didn't think of, and it really changes something and moves the needle. And that could be on a podcast, that could be just in a conversation, that could be in a book, I'm not sure, but I feel like always having that sort of like larger view on things sometimes is very exhausting and also is helpful in seeing the bigger picture and planning for the future. So it's kind of vague probably, but that's what I'm thinking it would be.
No, I love that. I felt it. It's powerful. Like you would be asking the question that Lori would just like drop some knowledge on. I love it. It all works together and it's all so needed in the world right now. So thank you guys for stepping up and stepping into those really exciting, vulnerable, and powerful places. So I acknowledge you. All right, you guys, we are going to poll whether we stay at this level or we move up to the green level. All right. Yes, guys. Yes. Green level is winning thus far by a landslide. All right. Poll's done. We're sharing it. Green level it is. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to unspotlight this amazing team that kicked us off. We're going to go back to gallery view and we're going to get 3 new participants. Who wants to test their empathy skills at the blue level? Yeah, Rebecca, I was just about to call your name. Green level. Thank you, Michael. The next one. All right, we got Rebecca. Dos mas. I promise you the next question isn't that scary. Okay, Donna. Beautiful. One more. Beautiful. Saren? Okay, beautiful. I want to make sure I'm saying names right. We got Donna up here. Bring in Rebecca up. Okay, the next question is, okay, who writes history? But also, because we've done this question a couple times and we always get stuck on the beginning. The second part of who writes history is, what influence does a historian have on society and the future? So I'll give you guys a minute. And those of you not participating with your voices, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. Who writes history? What influence does a historian have on society and the future?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, Rebecca, get it.
Okay, well, obviously it's artists.
Oh, I love this.
Artists write history, and those images and words and videos that they put out in the world is how we're going to remember our history. So there's a big responsibility there. No pressure. That we are always true to ourselves in what we put out in the world, because that will be looked back upon. I mean, you can see it now when you go into the museums and see how people were painted, the situations they were in, and a lot of the time it was, completely fabricated. And that's why I just think it's really important to be, to be honest when you're reflecting something artistically. It's a big responsibility, but something that I love about art. So there's my answer.
Rebecca, we have not gotten that answer before, and I want to thank you so much because it was so obvious for you. And now that you've said it, it is so obvious to me too. And I absolutely love that perspective. So thank you for opening my eye. I feel like you dropped like a Beth bomb of like an idea, a question, a perspective that I was just like, yeah, duh. Amazing. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm glad to.
Who's next?
I'd like to actually go from that answer.
Yeah, go for it.
So I agree that it's artists, but I think even if you're not a professional artist, you as a human being are like, because I'm a professional singer, and I studied singing at uni and things, and even in uni there are people who are so nervous about singing and things like that, even though they did auditions and they're in that uni, so it's that's just being a human, really. But I think but even like a non-professional artist who paints, someone who just sings in their kitchen when they're doing the dishes, sings. People who go to parties or to the club, they dance. So everyone's an artist. I think all of us, whilst I do of course agree with, maybe because of, a platform, something, that an artist, an official or a professional artist might have, there might be more of a influence in that sense. But I think all of us really do. I think we underestimate actually the influence that we have, even as common people. I think it's really all of us, and I think it's really beautiful when we realize just how much difference and influence we can, make in our own life. And others. There's this picture that I really, really love, I just thought of, and it's there's this whale under the surface of the ocean, and there's like a speech bubble, and it says, I wonder if I make any difference. I don't make any difference in someone's life. And then it's shooting water from its like dorsal hole, and it's like the sun is behind it, and there's like a sprinkling, and then there's a turtle above the surface, and it's loving what the whale is doing, but the whale doesn't know that the turtle is inspired and finds it so beautiful. So it really is, it's I think all of us.
Saren, thank you so much again for that.
Thanks.
Like different perspective that is just straight truth. And honestly, something that I have had to come to terms with in my own life in the last couple of years. Am I making a difference? Does it matter if it's a huge platform or a small platform? Mm-hmm. Just all of these questions, and to know and to really, really feel within my soul that if I want to change the world, it has to start with myself. It can only happen if I change my own world. And whether that changes the world through inspiring other people, through them seeing me modeling it, or through then me being able to actually like enact change on a mass scale because I've been able to figure it out on my own. It's just, that's everything. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. All right, Donna.
I'll start with the second question around what influence does a historian have in society? And I feel like historians have a whole lot of influence, and maybe a lot of it's subtle and we don't even realize it. I think they have the ability to influence, they probably really influence a lot of our stereotypes and our biases and our constructs and things that, you know, we just grow up thinking and don't question. We don't have Beth, you know, whispering that big question in our ear. There are things that maybe we just hold and accept it as truth. But it may not be. I listened to a podcast, an NPR podcast this week about how race is really a construct that, you know, we as humans just created. And just if you think about that, it makes me not, it blows my mind. But someone wrote about it and populated that idea, and it's our history. And so I think being a historian is such a heavy responsibility. And I also think, like Rebecca and Sarah said, I think we all can be historians. And, you know, be it people asking big questions, people saying things loudly, people dancing, creating, singing, writing. But I think we can choose the history that needs to be written. And so I think we have a responsibility to do that as citizens of this planet.
Donna, thank you so much for that. So many things popped up into my head about historians when you were speaking about that, because I think it's so beautiful that we have historians today that are currently functioning on either validating the past or something more recent in times. And I think I love this whole concept of looking to the future versus creating the past. And though it's important to have some truths and facts on where we came from, I really enjoy the idea that we are creating it and we get to create it in this moment, in this life right now. And man, when I first got hit with the just like heart fact that race and gender were socially constructed, it's upsetting. Yes, it exists. Yes, we have differences. Yes, we have sexual orientations that we are like born with. Like there is science, I get it. But the social constructs of them is the only thing that's been creating all of these labels that, you know, change throughout history and don't mean anything because we just make them up. And yet they mean so much. So love it. Love you guys. Thank you for being so vulnerable and opening up such an amazing conversation. And do we want to do what? Can we do one more, Michael?
Yeah, we started a bit late.
Right?
I can be
Okay.
fast on the announcements at the end.
Beautiful. So I'm going to throw up the poll one more time. And we are going to do, are we going to stay where we're at? Are we going to go down a level, or are we going to go up to yellow? So yellow is up a level, green is where we're at, blue is where we began. All right, we got one for blue, one for green, mostly for yellow. So we're gonna move on up. Community after my own heart. All right, beautiful. Okay, gallery, 3 more amazing humans to shift our brilliant perspectives. Who wants to take it to the last level? Let me see what we have here. Okay, this is a fun one. This is a fun one. Promise. Who wants to participate?
Well, I can go.
All right, we got Michael.
I'll go again.
We got Lori.
Yeah.
Sid?
I'll go.
Okay. Everyone else, I challenge you to answer in the chat. We would love to read your beautiful voices. All right. Okay, Sid, pick a number, 1 or 2.
1.
All right. Imagine yourself in the future in a world. What will your greatest life accomplishment be?
My greatest life accomplishment. Having a happy kid.
Mm.
Yeah, that's really, really big for me. I'm going to be 30 this year, and I don't even want to have kids till I'm like 50, but but probably 40. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But ultimately, I think that'll be a really good sign for the positivity and the sort of forming that I've done in this world. I really think if I can have a happy kid who obviously is going to go through their own trials and tribulations, but if I can see ultimately joy coming from them and that they can lead themselves into a world with more positivity than negativity, I think I've done something right.
Yeah, that's that historian. You're creating what's to come. Yeah.
On the legacy, okay?
Yes. Love it. Thank you.
I can go next. I swear I'm not stealing your answer, Synead, but I really was going to say the same thing for real. But I was going to say, I was going to take it, I was going to sound like a little more, I don't know, introspective about it. I was going to say like raising children who don't have to recover from their childhood.
Ooh.
Yes, that is absolutely, yeah, that will be my greatest success. Also creating a health and wellness center for girls and women. At first, it will expand, but just leaving a health and wellness center that I built from nothing and having that grow into something and leave to the people that I love.
Beautiful, Lori. Where are you located?
Queens, New York.
All right, yes. Beautiful.
Right. The big hair, doesn't it say it?
Yes, I was like, she's gotta be from New York. I like her. Lori, I like you.
All right, well, I'm gonna go with that trend and take a little bit of each of y'all answer. But actually, honestly, I was in between a place, and you just helped me land it. And it is greatest life accomplishment will be doing a good enough job at healing the trauma that's in my family that I set my kids up and also can share my process and hopefully inspire other people to go on their own healing journey. And I guess the reason I said it that way is I just don't know that I'll ever completely heal. Or part of my process is accepting that I might not completely heal. So yeah.
I love that. Optimism and realism. Beautiful. You guys, thank you. This has been a really fun and inspired empathy workout. So I appreciate your participation. Even if you didn't participate verbally, I appreciate your energy. And I'm going to throw it to our fearless leader to throw up some announcements for us of exciting stuff we have coming up.
Amazing. So 3 quick announcements and then an intention for the week. So once again, Caroline, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link to nominating contributor. We're going to close this next week, so we have some time. But if you have some thoughts, just send them in the form that Caroline is sharing, and we'll reach out to you. And then next week we have Harbin. What, I can't remember Harbin's last name right now. I should have made notes. Caroline, help me out.
Porter.
Harbin Porter, the wonderful Harbin Porter, whose last name I didn't remember because I'm horrible at names, and that's part of my acceptance of myself. But she is the founder of Together We Raise, which is a project that she has started that uses some really entrepreneurial and innovative ways of tapping into Instagram as a fundraising platform. And that's just one of the ways that she is combining nonprofit and business to affect change in a way that is attractive to people. Another Trojan horse creator, if you will. We're really excited to have her here to tell us about her passion project, which is also her dream, one of her dreams that she's actualizing. And so we can't wait to have her share her story. And we also will be welcoming in 2 weeks Phoenix, the official Phoenix Rising. I think I got that right. I want to make sure I didn't mess it up. Megan Lee Joy, the official Phoenix Rising. Yeah.
You got it.
For a talk that I'm really excited about called Becoming Your Own Shaman. And I'm always looking for new tools for how I can actualize my higher self and even make sense of what that term means. And I'm confident that her story is going to help us all gain some additional tools of empathy. And to close it out for the week, our intention for the week, which so beautifully follows the variety of additions that you all contributed to this empathy workout this week. I learned so much from you all. And the intention for the week is, by saying yes to the life that I have, I unlock the magic that's within me. Because in the bad, in the good, in the not so great, there are lessons to be learned. And part of our work here at Empathy Workouts is how do we gain greater awareness of our emotions and our emotional self to be able to listen to those lessons that aren't so obvious. And with that, that brings us to a close for the week. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And we hope to see you next week.
Thank you, guys. This was great.
All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday.